Hello everybody, this is Mr. Seeley and I'm going to be demonstrating on how to use CorelDRAW and teach you some specific skills necessary for our current project. So the first thing you're going to do is log into your Novell account. To log into your Novell account, again you got to make sure that you are logged in to your specific Novell account, because we're going to be saving these things in our P drive, which is our personal drive on the computer. Here's an example of where you could find your P drive. It's going to be under computer, and it's going to be down in here. Now you can't see mine because I'm a teacher and it says Seeley N for me. Yours will have it'll say P, and then it'll say your specific student ID number. So that's where we'll be saving things. So your first step is double click CorelDRAW, and you're going to have a window that opens up like this. You're going to click New Document. You want to make sure that you type in your last name and then a number for the title of your document. That way I can identify you. And you might have multiple versions of these projects, so instead of calling it just your last name, put a number on it associated with each version that you're creating. You also want to create let me try that again, sorry. You also want to be creating a consistent width and height, 2 by 2. Make sure they're inches. You want to make sure that your primary color mode is RGB and not CMYK. You're good to go. Push OK. This is your canvas. This is your workstation. This is where you're going to be putting your materials in your project and whatever you create. If it's outside this area, it will not be visible. So think about this as your workspace and or your end project. And these are just spaces that you're not going to use. So you have different tools on the left as well as on the top. I'm going to show you first how to create a shape. Now you're going to need shapes for your current project, and I want you to select a circle. You'll notice you can manipulate this shape a lot of different ways, but what I want you to do is create a consistent shape by holding Control on your keyboard. The bottom left button is called Control, and that keeps it proportionally accurate. So it's consistent. Now another way of creating a proportionally accurate shape is to select whatever shape you created, go up to this box here, and make it whatever size you want. Let's say you want it 1.5 by 1.5. And I enter that and it manipulates it. Let's say I want it just 0.5 by 0.5, and it makes it smaller. So this is a really nice system in making things as exact and accurate as possible. So you can see that you can adjust that however you want. Alright, now I want to show you how to create different types of cuts. The laser engraver will do what's called a raster, which is when you engrave into something, as well as a vector cut, which means it cuts all the way through. So if we look at this example here, this is an example that I made in the past. I know it's very, very masculine and super cool. This unicorn has been created with a couple different methods. So the vector cut is the circle around it. It told this to cut out of one of this sheet of this material. So I cut out a circle here, which is the vector, and that's going to be red, indicated on the CorelDRAW, which I'll show you in a second. And the unicorn itself has been engraved, which is called raster, and that's blue. So the cut all the way through, red, vector. Engrave is blue, which is called raster. So that's kind of an end result. So this circle here, we want it to be vector, which is red. So you're going to click that circle of the object and double click the pen tool. Once you've clicked the pen tool, you have to do two things. You have to change the color. Like I said, you have to change it to red. So instead of manipulating this to find the perfect red, so you can scroll up and down, I don't want you to do that. I want you to find the R and click 255 red and push enter. It must be exactly 255 for it to work. And you must make sure that the width is hairline. If it's not hairline, it won't work as well. So you'll see this is red now, and it's now told the computer that I want to cut this all the way out. Okay, so 255 red is what that means. Now I want to create an object in here. Now I'm not going to create a unicorn, but I'm going to create another shape. Let's say I want to create a square. Alright, now if I want that square to be engraved like the unicorn is, I need to make sure that I tell the computer that I want that to be raster, which is blue. So selecting that object, going to the pen tool, and selecting blue, which is B, and typing in 255, push enter, that's changing it to blue, but I also want to make sure it's hairline and push OK. Now it's told the computer that this is going to be engraved and this is going to be completely cut through, or what's called vector. Okay. Now let's say you want to create a little bit of a gradation. If you look at this one here, you can see that this is a little bit different than this. The reason is this is completely transparent, but this has been put in a gradient. To create a gradient right here, I'm going to show you how to do that. You can fill in this area with the paint bucket. So double clicking here, clicking this second box right here, and then you're going to change this name to a percentage of black. And I'm just going to go 10% and push OK. Now you see that that is different. That's shaded in. That's going to tell the computer to burn in slightly, but not as deep as an engraving, which is again the raster, and not all the way through, which is your vector. So again, to kind of refer back to this is the percentage, the 10% of black right in here. This circle is the red, which is vector, and this blue is the raster, which is the engraving. Okay? All right, a couple more things. If you make a mistake, let's say I move this over here, I didn't want that, Control Z is undo, and it's also right here. You can kind of go back and forth in time to change or manipulate your things. Let's say you want to align this perfectly with this circle. If you want to align it perfectly, you can make a box around, just select both of them, or control or hold shift and select both of them like such, and you can group them together. To group them together, you can go to Object, Group, or you can just hit Control G, and they'll move together as one, which is helpful if you're using a lot of complex components. If you want to ungroup it, you can hit Control U, and it'll be able to move separate, or go up to Group, or go up to Object, and then ungroup it. Let's say you want to align these exactly together. If you want to align these exactly together, select both of them together, and then you're going to go to Object and then Align. If I want them to be exactly aligned horizontally, click there, and they'll line up exactly horizontally. Let's do it a different way so you can really see the change. All right, so I have these off to each other's side. I'm going to go to Alignment. I'm going to group them horizontally. All right, let's go vertically. See how they snap together? And let's say it's a little bit too low, then I can have it snap the other way as well, horizontally. And that's ensuring that it's exactly together. You also need to know how to work with text. If you're working with text, you're going to click this A button here, and you're not, I repeat, you're not going to draw a text box. Do not do that. That messes things up. Okay, don't do that. Okay, so I'm going to undo that, Control Z. Instead, you're just going to click your cursor. Okay, so I've clicked it once, and let's say I want this to be a 3. Okay, got a 3. Perfect. Now, this is not going to be able to easily be manipulated. So what you have to do is after you create your text, go up to Object. You're going to go Convert to Curve. And this is going to allow it to be easily changed, just like your other object. So if I wanted this to be 1 by 1, I could go 1 by 1, enter, and it changed it in a corresponding manner. You can also do percentage up here. Now, if I put this on my coin, the computer's not going to know what to do because it hasn't been changed to a vector or raster or percentage of black. So to change that, select the object, go to your pen tool, and I'm going to turn this to hairline, and I want it to be 255 blue because I want that engraving or that outline around it. And if you look in here close, you can see that outline. Now, I also want to fill in this differently. So I'm going to fill this in, and I'm going to go percentage of black. I'm going to try that one. Push OK. All right, so now it's shading it in. Now, something else I could do if you wanted to be cool is, let's say you wanted to cut this 3 all the way out. Well, if I wanted to cut all the way out, I don't want a raster, I want a vector. So I'm going to turn this to 255 red. You want to make sure that this is 0. Push OK. Now it's telling the computer to cut all the way through, which might actually be a cool effect. So I've talked about how the difference from raster and vector. I've talked about how to do percentages of black. I've talked about how to group, ungroup, align, as well as use different texts and fonts. So that is going to conclude the tutorial. And if you do these different things, you can create something as cool as my unicorn. Enjoy.